Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to Learning Hub Academy. My name is Amar Khan and I am a qualified electrical engineer from National University of Science and Technology, one of the top ranked Asian universities as well as one of the best universities for engineering in Pakistan. So I'm currently working as an educator, an examiner as well as a counselor, and today I'm going to share some effective study techniques that I've learnt over the years. And by means of this, I hope students would bridge the gap between themselves and the expectations that are set by parents and teachers, right? So you see all of these clashes between students and parents, where the parents expect the students to, or their children to work nearly 24/7, or at least that's how they put it. And students are fed up with the work routine and they want to just enjoy their life, not realizing how they're contributing to the future. So that's what I intend to fix by means of this video. Now, a typical student's routine starts like this, right? You start off with a whole lot of determination, both the students as well as their teachers, right? So you determine, okay, this time I'm really going to work hard. This time I'm really going to do well. This time I'm going to put in all the effort that's required, and you set your mind to it and you set high goals for yourself. But unfortunately, that determination sort of wears out over time, right? And you slip into this procrastination phase where you start putting things off unnecessarily, right? You're putting off that work that you could do today for tomorrow, right? Or you're putting off work because why should I work now when I could work a month later or 2 months later? Why should I complete this now when it's due a week later? And you start putting all of this stuff off, not realizing what sort of backlag this is going to fester into, right? So not realizing at this stage what sort of trouble this is going to fester into. And slowly, as time passes, you keep wasting all of this time without working effectively, and as the deadlines start to near, the magnitude of work starts to dawn upon you. So you start to realize the amount of work to be done over such a little period of time is just too much for you to handle, and you start stressing out. Really, you see students all the time, they're panicking. They start panicking. Oh, how am I going to manage? I'm going to fail miserably. What can I do? What can I do in a week that could help me cover 3 months of work, right? So you start to stress out, and it's a really nasty place to be, really. And as you stress, and you can't really do much about it because you really can't go back in time, so you start to dread the fact that you've wasted all of this time, right? So you start to dread and remorse over the fact that you regret the fact that you've wasted all of this time that you could have spent so wisely, so productively, and you've wasted all of that opportunity that you had, right? And with that dread, you slowly slip into a stage of acceptance. So you see him, he's sitting in the middle of a fire and he's like, okay, this is fine, right? And you slowly start to accept the place where you're at. And you hear students say things like, you know what, I'm not cut out for math. I'm just not a math person. I'm not a scientific person. I'm just not a musical person. I'm just not a melodious person. I just don't get art. I'm just no good at English, right? And you see people criticizing themselves and giving up on themselves because they fell into this trap in the first place, right? Because I'll tell you what, right now, if you sit and you set your mind to something, you sit and you really work hard, there's nothing in this world that you can't achieve, right? It's all about your determination. It's all about your mental strength. It's all about your own willpower, right? So you saying things like, I'm just not cut out for this, I just can't do this, you giving up on yourself is just what a loser might say, right? And I'm sorry to use such harsh language, but really, Any successful person would tell you that the road to their success was really hard, right? So this is the struggle that you're supposed to gear up in. This is where you're supposed to build up, and this is where you're supposed to get psyched and pumped to really go through everything, and you're supposed to burn through the entire course successfully, right? So let's see what you can do to ensure you come out successfully, inshallah. So here's an outline of some of the things that I intend to discuss. First, I'm going to tell you how to devise a study plan, a study schedule, right? And this is essential for good time management, especially if you're in a crisis. It really helps out in solving crisis, right? So a study schedule, then we'll move on to your personal health, your personal routine, your exercise, the food that you take in, and then I'm going to cover some tools for studying well, right? So how do you study? What are some techniques that you could utilize to study effectively? And then I'll move on to some exam style questions, as well as discussing an exam technique with preparation for the actual exam day, right? So this is what I intend to cover in this video. So with a study schedule is essential. Really, I can't emphasize this enough. It's essential for you to have a good study schedule, a reasonable study schedule that is realistic and something that you can follow, right? So this is really, it's of paramount importance. This is where you start when you are trying to study effectively, right? So this is the key to time management and crisis management. So when you're in this crisis, when you're in that stage of stress, this is how you come out of that stress. This is the four-wheel drive that can help you maneuver through all the obstacles and that rough terrain that you're going through, right? So the first thing to do is set achievable goals, right? If you are, for instance, a D grade student, set a goal for yourself that you're going to achieve a C or a B the next time you give an exam, right? It's no use setting goals for yourself that you really can't achieve. So let's say, for example, I ask you to go to the second story of a building, and I don't provide you the steps needed to climb up to that second story, right? I just expect you to take a leap up to the second story. No, be realistic. Take small steps. Small steps are easy to take. That is how you climb up, right? You don't leap up to the second story in one go, right? So set achievable goals. Make it realistic. Make it realistic, because if it's not realistic, then you really won't be able to follow it properly, right? So make sure you plan breaks in between. So make sure you take a break in every hour or so, and make sure you don't study for more than 2 hours straight, right? You're not a machine. You are a person. You are a human being. You need rests, right? Even machines need rests, right? So you as a human surely need that rest, because if you continue laboring through without taking that much needed break, you're essentially burdening your brain, and when that happens, you stop learning, right? So you may be reading all the material, but it's really not sinking in your head, and I can tell you that as an educator. And that's why we try to plan breaks in between long sessions, right? So make sure none of your sessions go more than 1.5 to 2 hours straight, right? Make sure that your schedule takes care of life as usual. So for example, if you know that you have to go to an academy for extra tutelage, if you have a tutor coming over to help you out, if you have friends coming over for group study, if you have visitors, guests and whatnot, make sure that your schedule takes care of all of these needs. And your schedule should actually contain buffers. Ideally, your schedule should contain buffers to take care of unprecedented or unwarranted situations, right? And try to work on a schedule so that you can burn in through the course, you can burn into the routine rather than burn out and get really exhausted really quickly, right? So that's something you really want to avoid. The next thing that I'd like to go over is a healthy lifestyle. Believe it or not, if you're unhealthy, if you've not slept properly, or if you're not feeling healthy, you really won't be able to study well. Imagine, now I'm taking an extreme example, but imagine you really need to go to the bathroom. Right, you really need to go to the toilet, and your teacher is not letting you go to the toilet. Now, you could sit there throughout the lesson, but your entire focus is going to be on your own personal condition, right? It's going to be on your personal well-being, and it's going to be that need, that urge to go to the bathroom, or that urge to eat if you're feeling really hungry, or that urge to sleep if you're feeling really sleepy, right? So you need to take care of your personal physical well-being as well, right? And with that, you need to exercise so that your body, so that you maintain good health as well, and ensure that you eat and drink good food, right? So some things that you could eat would be high protein foods, whole grain foods, carbohydrates, nuts, and drink plenty of water, right? Coffee and tea in and of themselves are dehydrating agents, right? So they dehydrate the body. So make sure you take in plenty of fluids so that your body essentially stays fit and well to study.